Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fuck Fentanyl podcast. I'm Luis Romero. I'm the Fuck Fentanyl guy. Today, I have a really special guest. I got actually my one of my collaborators, Travis Melville, the creator of the Crooked Saints brand. How you doing, Travis?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing great, man. So glad we finally got to get this out of the way and get it done. Now we've been trying to do this for a while.
Yeah, we've been trying to get together for probably a couple years now.
seems like it. But I'm really glad, man. You do a lot for the community, man, and you recently did open a sober living home, and it's pretty awesome how many people you have affected, and that are struggling with addiction, and try to lead them into a path of recovery and all that. I'm not super familiar with your story, but I know that you definitely have been through quite a bit. So I just just to kind of get a little familiarity, where did you grow up, man?
I grew up in Lakeside, California, which is in San Diego.
Yeah, the beautiful city of Lakeside.
The beautiful city of Lakeside.
I would say
Classy area. Yeah.
Cool, man. And you grew up there all your life?
Yeah, all my life.
And when did the drugs and alcohol become a factor in your life?
So, I mean, as a young child, I was actually introduced to drugs and alcohol through my parents.
Yeah.
My mom was an alcoholic who had like mental issues.
Yeah.
Bipolar, schizophrenic.
Yeah.
And my stepdad and my mom started hustling dope at a young age, and I started experimenting when I was roughly about probably around 10 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Pretty young.
Yeah, pretty young.
Yeah. Was it like weed, alcohol, or was it just a little bit of everything?
I started out with weed. I had a cousin who was an older cousin, and he introduced me to smoking bud.
Yeah.
And from there on, it just was the snowball effect.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. How old were you when you felt like it was starting to get unmanageable?
I would say about 13.
No way. Huh?
Yeah.
That's pretty young.
Yeah. So at 14 years old, I overdosed for the first time.
Yeah.
In that year, I'd overdosed a few times. I also was taken away, and I went to a foster home at 14 years old, and I ended up overdosing at school, and I got pulled out of school on a stretcher.
Wow.
Yeah.
The whole scene then.
Yeah, the whole scene.
Shit, man. And so obviously that was just kind of the beginning of it all.
Yes.
Yeah. And
yeah, so I mean, like I started off saying, I was kind of introduced through family, and I had seen people like in and out of prison and on drugs like pretty much my entire life.
Right.
And I started to recognize what was going on in my younger years, probably probably around the first time I started smoking, probably around 10 years old. And from there, it just like opened my eyes to what was going on. And I feel like I really took advantage of the fact that my family was doing what they were doing. So
right.
I felt like I could get away with whatever it was that I was doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You felt like it's justified.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. And were you able to finish school or anything like that, or was that just out of the...
Yeah, I did. Actually, I did finish school. I hit my first rehab at 15, and I turned a 6-month program into 15 months because I'm a loyal drug addict.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I'd caught a case shortly after that. I'd gotten a strong arm robbery, and
Oh, no shit.
it put me in a position where I pretty much had no choice but to finish school.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
It was like a requirement of court.
Yeah, so I ended up actually graduating with the ankle bracelet on.
Nice.
And, I had a short leash at the time.
Yeah, right. Right. Man. So, in your early adulthood, was it just like kind of like being in and out of the system then?
Yeah, so I mean, pretty much I was in and out of the system, from 14 on,
Yeah.
about 17 years of my life, you know, in and out, in and out. And it was just that vicious cycle of like, I just couldn't pull it together, you know? And I would say in the beginning stages, I really enjoyed the chaos,
Of course.
you know?
Right.
And a lot of times in the meetings of the programs that me and you attend, we hear, my worst day clean doesn't compare to my best day using. And for me, that's just not the case.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed getting high and I enjoyed getting locked up.
Right.
At the beginning of,
I did too. I feel that. It was like it's part of the game.
it was a part of the game, you know? And, I would say because of the environment that I was raised into, it was easy for me to get politically involved when I started getting incarcerated. And because of that, I ended up joining a group,
Sure.
you know, and
Yeah.
I don't want to say too much. And,
Right.
you know, I've really had a hard time with doing like podcasts and these type of settings because like, I don't want to say too much or smut anyone up in the process, including my family.
Right.
But I really feel like that there was just something that was embedded in me at a young age where I really liked the chaos in life, you know?
Right. Right.
And if I experienced fear in people, I would push in rather than lean back, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel that. There's because I kind of have a little similar background, you know, especially when you're a young Hispanic and you're into politics. It's its own little lifestyle and its own. It's like almost an addiction of itself.
It really is. And I think that's been probably one of my bigger struggles is that I always knew that I needed to stop doing drugs, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like at a young age, I realized that I was addicted and I couldn't stop.
Right.
But the hard part was walking away from the lifestyle,
Right.
you know? And because of how tough that was for me,
Yeah.
it resulted in me relapsing multiple times and going in and out of custody and being politically involved, dealing with a lot of prison situations,
Right.
phone calls, you know, all the stuff that goes hand in hand with that lifestyle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's like that classic like spider web, you know, like tail.
Yeah. And I never really realized it, you know. It took me so long to realize it, you know, that I really needed to just drop everything and like fully surrender.
Yeah. When was the first time you got introduced to recovery yourself?
Well, 15, I hit my first rehab, and when I was in rehab, the only way that I could go outside, and because of probation and all the stuff that I was dealing with at a young age, really the only places they would let me go to were Narcotics Anonymous meetings.
Yeah.
And because of that, it was like a kick it spot.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could go out and socialize.
Socialize,
Yeah.
cause chaos.
There's a little chaos in there.
Yeah. So, I mean, in my earlier years, you know, there's people that are still in the rooms today who know me from when I was a juvenile. And I'm definitely not the same person that I used to be, you know. And there were times where I would be kicking it at meetings, you know, doing dope and drinking,
Right.
and you know, causing havoc, you know.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I've definitely been there. I was 20 when I went to my first meetings, but I was definitely not trying to change. I was just there to get a court slip signed and all that. But I guess my next question for you is when did you want to start actually recover yourself?
You know, it's crazy. So you've heard the term like plant the seed, you know, and that comes from, oh, I think it comes from the Bible, right?
Yeah.
So I would say that there was a seed planted in me as a juvenile.
Okay.
And when I was in and out, you know, in my 20s, I would look back at those moments And like it would help me realize like that I needed some type of help, you know?
I see.
Yeah.
So even with like, living your lifestyle, you still kind of saw there'd be a solution and some hope maybe.
Yeah. So I've talked about this before. It's like I've had these like moments of like these small windows of clarity, you know,
Yeah.
even in my disease, in my addiction, because, you know, I'm a heroin addict tweaker, you know,
Right.
when it comes down to it. And most of the time, like I just don't feel, you know,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of situations in life where I should have felt, you know,
Right.
I went through a lot of things and a lot of tragedies. And, the majority of those times I had no care for what was going on around me. And my biggest concern was just getting loaded and getting mine, you know,
Yeah.
at all cost. And I have these like moments of clarity in my addiction where I get this like small glimmer of hope, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or God talking to me, whatever you want to call it, you know. And I had those moments and they never really went away, you know. It didn't happen very often, but it never stopped, you
Yes.
know. So like I always knew that there was like something more to my life than what it was, you know. And for the longest time, I feel like I just accepted that I was going to be a dope fiend or die in prison,
Right.
you know. Like I feel like I wanted to stop, but I just never could, you know. It
Yeah.
was like not reachable.
Absolutely. How old were you when you got clean?
I am 34 now,
Yeah.
and I was 31 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So you had to go around in your whole 20s
yeah.
into your 30s, or coming into your 30s.
Yeah, so I had a couple. I wouldn't say I was in recovery, but I had a
Slips.
couple little times where I thought that I was doing it and I really wasn't, you know?
Oh, I see.
Like I was clean for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
But for like an addict like me, like being sober isn't enough, you know?
Yeah.
And being sober and being in recovery are two different things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I was sober and I thought that I was in recovery, but I wasn't in recovery,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And as a result of that, I always went back out, you
I
know?
see. I remember you were clean for like a couple of years. I think when I met you, you were like 4 years clean or something, or sober.
I was clean, but not clean.
Clean, actually. I see.
I was clean up to my standards at
I,
that time in my life because I wasn't sticking a needle in my arm.
I see. Gotcha.
Yeah, but in reality, I wasn't clean.
I
You
see.
know, when I start to look back at those moments in my life where,
Yeah.
or that time where, you know, I was doing well or doing better than my um previous
Yeah.
addiction.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Right.
I I was doing things that I wouldn't suggest to people now. You know what I mean?
I see.
Yeah.
I feel you. I I've been sober for a while. I've been clean for a minute, but I just
You got what, like 13 years now or something?
12. Thank you. Yeah, I'm at 12. You gave me like
I was trying to give you one.
I know. I could have accepted it, but
Yeah.
no, yeah. So I mean, I've made some, fucking dumb decisions and things that I would never recommend, anybody to do. Like, I've been around dope. I, try to mess with a broad that was strung out. I tried to, do all the stupid shit that they would tell you not to do. I would just do it, because I'm like naturally a rebellious and defiant person, and it always like comes back. It like maybe not immediately I'll feel the consequences, but it would always come back. And I've been back, so I had like maybe 6 or 7 years where I was like kind of just doing my thing, self-willing it.
Yeah.
And then, after my best friend died, I started to kind of realize that, and I felt a lot of pain and stuff like that. So that's when I started going back to meetings and stuff like that, and got myself a sponsor again, started doing my steps again,
Right.
because I didn't want to get high or anything like that, but I just like I didn't want to fucking live anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, I don't know. It would have been. I don't know what would have happened if I made different choices. You know what I mean? Because no one's guaranteed to stay clean forever.
For sure.
But I did wanted to ask you because I know your wife Clea, she started to she started a clothing brand a long time ago, like 10 years ago. Or
Yeah, about 10 years ago.
did that inspire you to start your own clothing brand?
I mean, to be completely honest, like I probably wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for my wife.
Right.
When I had first met my wife, I was not doing dope, but I was not in recovery.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And because of our relationship, it has helped build friendships and relationships with people in the recovery community. And then at the end of the day, it has helped me actually get into recovery,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How did you meet her?
Through a motorcycle ride.
Really?
Yes.
No shit.
Yeah.
How long you guys been together?
5 years.
5 years?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking rad, dude.
Yeah.
And because I know like she's like super creative and stuff like that.
She is a pain in my ass.
Oh no.
No, she is definitely super creative. She's inspired. She's driven. She's a hard worker, and she is one of a kind.
Yeah.
She thrives in chaos.
Yeah.
She has a way of like working in ways that I'm not good at. You know what I mean? So we balance each other out, I feel like.
Oh, that's cool. I see that too. Because you two are kind of different, but I see like you two make it work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And what made you want to do the sober living?
So, I mean, that goes back to my wife, honestly.
Oh, okay.
She had started a Dollface house.
Yeah.
And when she started the Dollface house, she started putting a lot of work into it, a lot of her time.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, just let it just kick back,
Right.
She was involved.
Right.
And she was, really hands-on with it. And we started like having conversations, and I really wanted to do something like what she did, like a spinoff of what she does, but for men,
Right.
I wanted a house that was comfortable for like convicts. You know what I mean? I wanted a house that the atmosphere was not like the places I had been to.
Oh,
So we have local artists who, tagged up stuff,
Yeah.
walls,
Yeah.
and there's prison art all over the walls, and
But it's so good. Like,
yeah, so I really put my heart into it. And when the house first opened up, I'd be lying if I said that like money wasn't going into my head, right?
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like it's a business, right?
right.
And then as soon as I started working with people, and like, I was already in recovery and doing work with my sponsor and going to church and like getting involved in the community.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like, and I had a couple sponsees at the time.
Sure.
But it really like put me on like a different level in recovery, And once I started working with people, like the whole money thing, like I didn't really care about it anymore. And then I found like a purpose in helping people, I have a good job. I operate heavy equipment for a living, and
That's a good career.
it's a good career for construction. I would say it's one of the better places to be in construction.
Yeah.
And since the house opened, like I lost my purpose doing that, and I'd much rather help people,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like amazing what you guys created. Like, cause I I've been in sober livings too, and
most of them are ghetto.
dude, bro, they're trapped.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like, most of the places that I went to, rehabs, detoxes, they're all like county funded, state funded,
Right.
And most of them, it's just like, all right, here's a bed. Now, good luck. You know what I mean? Just don't piss it dirty. Like,
Right.
nobody really gives a fuck.
Right.
not to say that every house is like that, but
Right.
a lot of the places that I went to,
Yeah.
that's just
No, yeah. I
the
feel,
reality of it, you
I
know?
feel that. Like I feel that. It's just like here's the bed. Good luck.
Yeah.
Try not to fuck up. And I don't know, like, I see your guys' house. It's like this really like, I mean, first of all, it just looks really cool. It looks like it has like that like cool like atmosphere to it, with all the art and everything just looks fresh and it's like it's appealing,
Yeah.
and but you guys do a lot of like stuff with your residents
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, like prior to me getting in recovery, it was like I only associated with like certain individuals, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I I hear people talk about this and it's like, we go into we go into recovery or we go into these meetings and like we feel like we're different,
Yeah.
and we separate ourselves like, you know, only want to hang out with this group of gangbangers, you know what I mean? Or this group of people, you know what I mean?
Right.
And as soon as I started doing like real work on myself, it was like my whole view of people and society changed, and for the longest time, like I felt like I felt like I lost hope in people, you know what I mean?
Right.
And because of that, like I really put off like an aura about myself where like it was like an energy where I really didn't want people to communicate with me or to talk to me,
Right.
and then I would find the very few fucked up people, excuse my language, and that was who I would associate with,
I see.
and the whole point of the house is I want to be able to make people feel welcome, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like I feel like my heart pulls towards really fucked up individuals,
Right.
you know what I mean? But I also don't want to make anyone feel like excluded. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So ultimately, like I'm always drawn towards I'm trying to figure out how to word this without like making myself sound fucked up or
Yeah.
but in the streets, I was a skinhead, or when I was busted, I was a skinhead, I don't consider myself a dropout, but
Mm-hmm.
because like I feel like that's like a PC move.
Right. I got you.
I'm not that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
because of being raised how I was and being in and out my entire life, like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. I do.
it's like the nature of the game, right?
Yeah.
And so like I've always been drawn towards like certain individuals like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And that's not who I am. You know what I mean? And so like I try to be transparent with everyone with who I used to be and who I am today. And I want to be able to like communicate and work with people where they know that I'm just like them, and I've changed and that recovery works,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's super huge, to be honest, man, to be up upfront and transparent. Because, especially like coming from a background where if you're devoted to being a criminal or a gang member,
Yeah.
it's really easy to like cause like friction or like, like exclusiveness and stuff like that. Yeah, I grew up with it too, and
Right.
like I said, I'm very familiar with it. So to say like, yes, I live this lifestyle, but I'm changed now. I'm different now.
Absolutely.
It's huge.
It's huge.
It's something huge, dude. Absolutely. And I wanted to ask, like, so, you when did you start the Crooked Saints brand? Like, it was like a year ago, or it's
So the Crooked Saints brand, it's really just, it came from the name for the sober living.
see.
So like for a long while, I've been talking about like, making clothes because I've been watching my wife do it for years,
Yeah.
and I've always wanted to incorporate certain types of art,
Right.
but she has her brand. And so it was just something that was talked about.
I see.
And then, The hardest part was trying to come up with a name.
Was it?
Absolutely. And then when we started talking about like the men's house
Yeah.
and we came up with the name and it was just like everything lined up perfectly. So Crooked Saints is just pretty much just the brand is just a spinoff from the house.
I
you know?
see.
So I really don't put the energy into the brand like I do the house because
Sure.
the house is more important.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's just, it's a fucking lot of work to put in. It's a lot of time and energy for clothes. I mean, I don't know. I'm just speaking about me personally.
I don't know nothing about it.
You don't know nothing about it. Yeah, I'm sure you don't. But no, it's amazing though, man. Like it's amazing work. I get countless people, telling me what you guys do is amazing work, and I agree. It's like, dude, like, you guys devote a lot of time and energy into helping people, get clean, and and you guys can even make getting clean and living like a new life look cool, even, you know what I mean? Which is, I think, is awesome.
Absolutely. Amen, man.
Because
Well, I mean, you do the same thing.
yeah,
A lot of people don't realize like the amount of work that it takes to, to do a brand,
yeah,
to have a podcast,
right.
to have 150 something. How many episodes do you have on your podcast?
Oh, you're like, fuck, dude. I think like 156 or 7 now.
Yeah. I mean, people don't realize like the amount of work. Like I work a regular day job. You work a regular
I
day
do.
job,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
My wife is blessed, but she's put in a lot of work to get her brand words out,
absolutely.
But it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of dedication, there's no half step in it,
Yeah, sure. I had somebody told me like, oh man, like, it's so much work to do social media and us, and I'm like, dude, I do that, I do this. I fucking work a normal job. I fucking
Right.
clothes, like, you know what I mean? Like, but that's part of the deal. Nothing just fucking falls out of the sky, and you reap all these rewards. It's hard work and dedication and
And
persistence.
then just hopefully it pays off in the future,
Exactly. Exactly. And it's one of my big topics is just, we live in San Diego too, you know what I mean? It's just like we gotta,
It's a cutthroat place to live.
yeah,
You
we gotta push to survive out here.
Yeah.
It's we're not resting our laurels, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I know it's crazy when I think about like where I used to be and where I am today, I ran the streets for a long time,
Yeah.
I had a lot of blood splattered bathrooms,
Shit.
for people.
In here.
Yeah, exactly. And to have what I have today, it's the biggest blessing.
Okay.
And it is a lot of hard work. And,
Yeah.
I'd be lying if I said that, I don't stress out or have anxiety or get tired,
Right.
But I have a wife now. I have a
Right.
family,
Yeah.
a community member, a productive member in society.
Yeah.
For the longest time, all I did was take from the community, and now like I actually get to give back.
Right. That's a fucking amazing position to be in, dude.
Yeah.
It's amazing, dude. How long have you been sober yourself now? Is it 3 years?
Coming up on 3 years now.
Oh, dude, that's fucking awesome, bro.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome. Like I said, dude, I really really fucking respect what you and Clay are doing. But, and I'm, because I'm doing like something similar, like trying to balance all these things out. And I know it's not fucking easy. But like I said from the start, dude, like, what you guys do is really amazing. And I really just think it's really dope that, you're able to create this sober living and help these guys out that have lived, really fucked off lives, majority of their lives, and try to get them following your path, and try to, get them fellowshipping and get them involved in the community. It's fucking awesome, dude. I really think like what, Crooked Saints is doing is fucking amazing, dude.
Well, I appreciate that, man. It means a lot. Sometimes it's hard not to take things personal sometimes, when people relapse or when certain situations happen, like I
Yeah.
have to really realize that these people don't have recovery, or
Yeah.
maybe they have some more suffering to do, and that's just the reality of it. Most of us don't make it. And the amount of shit that I went through majority of my life to get to where I'm at today, it's something that most humans will never experience. You know what I mean?
Right.
And honestly, like, it sounds bad, but I pray that people suffer enough to get to that point.
Right. No, yeah. That's true. That's true. We all have to hit that point.
Yeah.
I feel exactly the same. I hope they don't have to, they hit that point before it's too late.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because, you, I'm sure you are so familiar with, how many people we've lost because of the fentanyl epidemic. And
I mean, what's the name of this podcast?
yeah, the fentanyl podcast.
Yeah.
So,
I
man,
mean, most people die out there, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And I've experienced a lot of overdoses myself. I've actually went through a few myself, and nowadays it's like left and right people are dying, and nobody plans on it,
Absolutely. Especially, with the lacing of the drugs, where it's like you're like just trying to do something completely different.
Yeah,
It's hit with that.
it's crazy. So like, I remember when fentanyl first came around, and I was actually, allegedly,
Yeah. Yeah.
I was Western Union money over to a factory in China, and they would ship me ounces of fentanyl. And this is probably like 8 years ago when it first started like getting popular
Right.
and coming around.
Right.
And I remember, because heroin was still real popular.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
not to sound too graphic, but
Yeah.
I'd be pulling up and doing my thing, and people would be like, "Oh, you're gonna overdose," and I used to tell them, "Man, I hope it's that good." You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. And now, like, the sad truth is, like, people are dying from taking pills, and
Yeah.
people are dying from doing cocaine,
Right.
and I don't condone all the stuff that probably me and you did growing up, but
Absolutely.
in reality, you can't just experiment with drugs anymore. You can't have fun,
No.
because it was fun.
It was fun. Yeah.
For a short period of time, it was fun. If it wasn't, we probably wouldn't be here. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's true. I heard it like a while ago, there was like an old timer saying like that he hated drugs and stuff like that. And I'm like, the guy had a lot of time and stuff. And I was like, dude, I fucking loved fucking drugs.
Right.
Because if I didn't, I wouldn't have never done it. But, I don't love it anymore. I see the truth of what that shit did to me. And, I'm moving on with life.
My one of the things my sponsor tells me is, don't believe the lie.
Yeah. Right.
And now me and you are at a point where we really see like the reality of drugs and the situations,
Right.
and all the experiences that we've had in life where we don't believe the lie,
Yeah. Absolutely.
like there's nothing today that'll convince me that getting high is the solution.
True. It's fun.
We may have bad days, but it doesn't result in us getting high, and hopefully it never does.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. That is like the last thing I ever want to do, man, in my life. Like I had some pretty dark days, in recovery, but the last thing I want to do is like fucking stick a needle in it and just fucking, push that thing and fucking just go right back if I make it, because I just will be a slave to that shit. And
The reality is we probably won't make it. You know what I mean?
that is true.
Yeah.
No, that is true. It's death. That's all it is. It's death.
Hey, can we vape on this show?
Huh?
I said, can we vape on this show?
Yeah, go ahead, hit it. Can we, Dylan? We got the thumbs up.
We got the thumbs up. Right. Yeah.
But dude, I really, really, really appreciate you coming down here and and fucking and just taking time out of your day, man, and just
I'm honored to be here, man. And you know, like I was talking to you before we started the show, it was like I have a hard time like telling my story without glamorizing it, you know,
yeah,
without smutting people up in the process, or without my ego like trying to like present myself like I was some big badass motherfucker, you
Right.
know? And the reality is like I did what I had to do in that lifestyle, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wasn't the toughest person, but I was dumb enough, you know?
yeah,
And I just try to, I just try to come here and just like be humble about what I'm sharing and what I'm talking about. I try not to glamorize too much of like my old lifestyle,
yeah,
you know, because I've struggled with that. You know, when I first came around, it was like the only way I knew how to communicate was in almost like a negative fashion where all I talked about was the chaos, you
Right.
know, and my wife would actually have to put me in check like,
wow,
hey, you know, can you just pump the brakes on, you know, who you used to be and talk about who you are today?
yeah,
And so that's something that I've had to practice in my recovery,
absolutely, dude,
you know?
absolutely. I had that same thing like in my early 20s because I built this fucking identity.
Right.
It was everything to me, the lifestyle, the dope, and it's like now you take that away from me. Now I don't know who I am anymore.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, now I'm this awkward guy that doesn't know how to live a life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know exactly what you're saying, though, bro.
I can relate when you say that, you know. When I first got clean, when I was sober, not in recovery,
Yeah,
it was like I was, you know, people talk about like walking that fence, and I walked that fence for a long time where it was like I wasn't really over here or comfortable with like my old self, my old lifestyle,
yeah,
but I was not comfortable over here with these people,
right,
and I was a little bit more comfortable over here.
right,
So like,
right.
you know, I rode that fence for a long time, and I'm just so glad that like God opened my eyes.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And ever since my eyes were open, like I can look at situations and see the truth in them, you know, see them for what they are, you know. And I'm just glad to be here, and I'm really glad that you allowed me to come on here. You know, this has
dude.
been a long time coming,
Fuck yeah, dude.
and I don't really like getting in front of cameras or talking on podcasts, you know.
You did all right. You did all right. I appreciate you again, man.
And I appreciate you.
You're a fucking awesome dude, man, and just continue the work, man, that God puts you here to do.
Thank you.
Fuck yeah. Woo. All right. Fuck fentanyl.